Hello, fellow stewards. We're almost halfway through December, and so we're getting well into the holiday season and late fall, early winter. This also can be known as cold and flu season, and I would really say that it is sugar and stress season. So I just wanted to bring a few little tips and things that I've been exploring to reduce the sugar and to reduce the stress during this time of year. Now, I know there are some Christians that choose not to celebrate Christmas, and I hope you'll stick with me because there can still be some really nice tips for this time of year. So I want to start with just one way. My first tip is a way that you can have your home smell really nice without using toxic chemicals that have ingredients that disrupt our hormone system. You might have heard of endocrine disruptors. Pretty much all of the synthetic scents that we buy, either intentionally to spray or that come along with things like your laundry detergent and all kinds of other products, are putting these scents in and on everything these days, it seems. So to reduce some of that stress on your body, disrupting your hormonal systems in your body, you can have your home smell really nice. Lots of different ways. I'm just going to bring one right now that's a really nice, kind of fun one for the holidays to bring in the nice kind of fall holiday types of scents. And you may have heard of a simmer pot. So basically, I'm going to I just have this one, and if it's something, the size of your pot, you can have a small pot. If you want it to last all day for whatever reason, maybe a bigger pot and more water. So it's super, super simple. You don't have to go buy anything. But you can start with something simple. This is a pot that I have, and I've got it here on a back burner, and I'm going to pour in, I've just got a quart of water here. And if you're letting this go throughout the day, you'll want to, just check your water periodically and make sure it's not boiled away. Then that will definitely change the scents that are coming from the pot if you let the water boil away. So I've poured my water in there. I'm going to turn the burner on, and there are lots of different things you can add, and I'll have some more things come up as I talk about some of the treats that I'm making. But this is just as I was making. One of the treats is with some dried orange slices, which we'll be working with in just a moment, and this is what's remained of that. So if your family is eating oranges, just have them save the peels, and you can dump the orange peels into your simmer pot. And then I'm just keeping this super, super simple. Dump those into my simmer pot. And I'm going to throw in a couple of sticks of cinnamon. And I have some whole cloves. So I'm going to just pour a little bit here into my hand and put that in the pot. Now we're going to let that come to a boil. That's it. And you just let that simmer on the stove for as long as you want to. And it's like I said, make sure you check it and add water throughout the day if you're leaving it on all day long. You're having guests and gatherings and things going on. And that smells so wonderful, and it's such a simple thing to do. So you can have your home smell lovely without having these toxic chemicals that contribute to messing with your health. All right, so that's that. One little fun way to have lovely smells in your home without any toxins. So the next thing would be the sugar. We call this sugar and stress season. And there's lots of treats going around and things like that. And, you can decide for yourself whether you want to partake in some of the treats or not. You know how that affects your body. But the fact that we have so much more things with sugar does definitely contribute to this cold and flu season that we get this time of year. And more people getting sick and we'll just say coming down with things. So I was looking and I've been trying out. I'm going to share some of the treats. I've only made a couple so far, and I'm actually about to finish one of them. Fruit, it's a wonderful thing. These were some apples. If you saw my post on the post tab on the YouTube channel, I shared that I was washing some apples and some oranges. So I sliced up the apples, put some cinnamon on them, and then dried them in the oven for the apple slices just for a couple of hours. Oh, let me tell you, as far as making your home smell nice, I did not need a simmer pot while I was taking care of these apples, and also when I was drying the oranges. It smelled amazing in here. So the cinnamon apples, and then I dried some oranges, and these are so good. Such a simple thing. And just a dried apple with some cinnamon. It's delicious. So that's one treat. I have several. I'm just going to share the apples and the oranges, and then I'll mention some other recipes that I have found. Oh, so good. It's been a challenge for me not to just open that up and just start eating those apples. So I also dried some oranges, some orange slices, and that's where the orange peels that I had left over from this is what's in my simmer pot right now. You could also dry these and put these in your simmer pot. And I have a recipe here for making handmade gifts to give to people. You have things like these dried oranges, dried apple slices, the cinnamon sticks, the whole cloves, other types of whole herbs like anise. Let's see, what are some of the things here? Allspice, whole cinnamon sticks. Yeah, all kinds of different things. Then you can have all of those, put them together in a jar to give away as a gift. You can have a little gift tag on there telling them how to simmer it on their stove, as we were talking about. So there you go. That's another use for these orange slices. What I'm going to do with these orange slices is I have in this pot is the double boiler. This is just a regular, like a sauce pot, and then I put this double boiler thing down into it, and in here I have some white chocolate. Now, let me talk a little bit about the white chocolate. Where I am, I'm in Texas, and we have H-E-B, best grocery store on the planet as far as conventional grocery stores go. And so the ingredients were pretty okay. It was all organic stuff, cane sugar, the cocoa butter, whole milk powder. All the ones that I could find at the store had whole milk powder in them. So that would not be dairy-free if you have someone that can't do dairy for whatever reason. Yeah, so salt, organic vanilla powder, and so on and so forth. So it's mostly okay. Yeah, there may be some things that like you wouldn't want to have all the time in here, but it's all organic. And of all of the options that they had on the shelf, this one had the less sugar. This one only has 7 grams of sugar per the serving size on here. The other brands were 9 grams or more. So I was happy to have this. It's organic and had less sugar. So I had put a cup in here, been melting it. And so I'm going to take and dip these orange slices into this. Let's see. But basically you're going to get that about half of the orange slice. That is a little bit gloppy there. And then we're just going to lay it on, I have a baking sheet over here with parchment paper. It's not going to be baked, it's just going to lay there to dry. And then the recipe I have has pistachio. So I kind of attempted to crush up some pistachio. So I'll sprinkle that on some of the orange slices. And I also have some cocoa nibs. So this little bits of chocolate, unsweetened chocolate, but it's going to go on. Oh, that's good. I just ate a couple pieces with some of the white chocolate. So that's really good. So those would be for me or to give away to someone else, because my husband sadly cannot eat chocolate, which is why I went with the white chocolate. I think you could also melt regular chocolate chips. Just always check those ingredients and make sure there's nothing in there that you wouldn't want to have in the ingredients. Do the best you can, but definitely always read the ingredients before you choose and make your selection. So we will sprinkle these onto the orange slices. So when I have a few of those ready to go, I will share a picture. Okay, my simmer pot is boiling, so let me turn it down so it's actually now simmering. And oh yeah, that smells so good. Smells so good. Okay, so that was one of my treats. So I had the apple slices and the orange slices, and we're dipping the orange slices in the white chocolate. You could also dip it in maybe some dark chocolate or some milk chocolate, and just look for the best versions of those things that you can, ingredient-wise. So I'm going to set that off to the side. So you can make the jars for the simmer pots to give away as gifts. I love that idea. So yeah, so the cinnamon apple chips, super simple. Slice the apples, sprinkle the cinnamon, bake them in. You don't have to have a dehydrator. You can do it in the oven, 200 degrees, an hour, turn them all over, another hour, and then there you go. You got the apple. You may want to do it a little longer if you want them to be a little crispy. These didn't come out crispy. They're just like dried apples. So. And then there's the chocolate pistachio orange slices, and I think you could do, and it's actually white chocolate, but I think you could do regular chocolate, and you could probably sprinkle different things onto the chocolate. This recipe uses pistachios, and I'm also going to try the cocoa nibs, and what else? Maybe you could put dried cranberry bits. I don't know. Use your imagination. Let me know if you try this. What do you try? And I have some other things that I'm planning to make here. I have not made them yet. I have some raw gingerbread cookie balls that use dates, almond meal, and I have some crispy almonds that I had made a while ago. Need to use those. I can't even think how long ago did I make them. So I'm going to grind those up and use those for almond meal. And crispy almonds is a recipe out of the Nourishing Traditions where you soak them and then dry them in the oven so that they are more digestible for your system. So that's a great option there. So some nice raw gingerbread cookies. And then of course my husband and my son both love oatmeal raisin cookies. So I was looking for a good option for that to have it not have quite so much sugar in it. And I've got like three recipes. I'm not 100% sure which one of those I'm going to use yet. And I have been searching, and I have all kinds of recipes. So comment down below, comment treats, if you would like me to share a list of the recipes I've been finding that are fun treats that you can make and share, give as gifts and serve to your family, serve at gatherings, share when you go to, different dinners and whatnot, but have them be not contributing to sugar season and something that can be enjoyed, but also maybe supportive to the body, like some more healthier kinds of treats. So if you would like me to share a list of all those treats that I have been finding, some of the ones I've shared here, and there's a whole bunch of others as I've been searching around, let me know. So I'm going to move right along off of the treats. So we've talked about the scents, and it is really smelling good in here with the simmer pot going. So the third thing we're going to talk about is the stress. The stress of this time of year. Even if you're maybe trying to not participate in so much of all the hubbub that comes around with Christmas, I'm sure there's still a little bit of added stress. How can we cultivate peace and not have this time of year have so much extra stress? Because that's part of, we talk sugar season, all the extra sugar contributes to this cold and flu season that we get, but also the stress does. It may even have a bigger impact than the sugar. So what can we do about that? For one thing, I think we want to make sure that we're not be very intentional about what you say yes to and how many things you are trying to do. You don't want to be filling your schedule up so much that you are rushing around. That causes more stress, and it impacts your ability to be still with God, your most important relationship, okay? And it's lovely. One thing I love about this time of year is we can be able to see and spend time with people that maybe we don't see very often. And those are wonderful. Our relationships are very, very important. But don't forget your most important relationship, because that is how we cultivate peace in our lives, is by making sure we are having that time to be still and quiet with God, reading His Word, spending time in prayer. Don't just, make sure you're not neglecting that this time of year. And when you start to feel kind of stressed, pressured, rushed, however you would describe it, you can hit pause for just a minute and do some breathing. One that's the easiest one to remember is box breathing. You may have heard of that. You just you breathe in for a count of 4, hold for a count of 4, then breathe out for a count of 4, and hold for a count of 4 before you breathe in. So that makes a box, just picturing that helps me remember it. So you would I just pause for just a minute and do that a few times, and that will just bring calm. And while you're doing that, you can just start to remember God is always with you. Remember His presence, and maybe stop and talk to God and tell Him about why you feel stressed, and ask Him for help with whatever you need help with. So we just pause, repeat that 2 or 3 times, and you will be amazed. That really kind of helps your whole nervous system to calm down, and then you can redirect your focus back on being centered on Christ, the whole reason for everything, that why we're here. And a lot of people would say the reason for this season, however you want to think about it, but just to really calm your nervous system, recenter, and refocus on what is important, what are my priorities, and just slow it down just a little bit. We don't need to have so much extra this time of year and really feel so rushed and stressed. Now, all of this, talking all about this because of all of the extra sugar, maybe extra fragrances and things that are not helping our health, extra stress that contributes to a lot of extra illness this time of year, and even into January, just because of the winter months and less sunlight and things like that. So sometimes, even if you are trying to be more intentional, it happens. I already know several people in my circles that have been hit with flu or with stomach bugs, whatever, different kinds of these symptoms that we consider to be illness. I would argue that it's not, the symptoms are not the illness. The symptoms are our body doing what it needs to do to deal with extra toxins and extra stress and what have you. So what we need to do when we are hit with that is to pause, like I was just saying, when you start to feel the stress rising, that you can pause for just a minute and do the deep breathing. And so when you get hit with symptoms that are taking you down, those symptoms are your body trying to do important work. And you need to give the body space to do that. So we need to pause and we need to rest. So what are some things that we can do for that? We can make sure we're staying hydrated, drinking plenty of really good water, and then, especially if it's more of a stomach intestinal related thing, making sure you got some good electrolytes. And you don't need to buy things that are coming with more toxic ingredients in order to have electrolytes. You can do it real simple with just some good clean water, a pinch of some, I would call whole salt rather than just the purified table salt, because a whole salt is going to come with more of the minerals, like a Celtic sea salt or the pink Himalayan salt, something like that. So the salt is going to be, instead of just pure white, it's going to have different speckles of different colors in it. So a pinch of that, a squeeze of lemon or a squeeze of orange, something like that. And then just a tiny bit of like raw honey or maple syrup. Mix that up and drink that to help with rehydrating from an illness, as tolerated, of course. Sometimes your body, when it's in the middle of a purge or cleaning house, which is kind of what all these symptoms are, either whether they're respiratory or digestive, the body is working on some house cleaning. It may not be able to tolerate like a lot at one time. So just sipping on some good water or a mixture that brings in some more electrolytes and minerals and things like that. Do you remember last week we talked about the meat stock? And I recently, over the weekend, was starting to feel myself getting down, feeling fatigued, having some respiratory issues. And I had just made that meat stock. And so I actually took a day where I drank only meat stock for a full day. And that helped a ton. And even into the next day, I drank some meat stock. And then I had some of the turkey soup that I had made that included the meat stock. And that was very, very helpful. Along with trying to make sure I was getting some good rest. This is hugely important, that you need to stop and rest when these kinds of symptoms hit. So yeah, if someone is, if either yourself or someone is sick in the bed, doing this stovetop potpourri can also be helpful. Just creating a nice soothing environment. So lots of ways that we can be mindful and intentional about the choices that we make as we go through this season, being, the holiday season with all the extra, but also even just the winter season. We have less sunlight. And that's another thing we can do, is make sure we're still getting outside and getting some sunshine as much as we can, depending on where you live and how much is available to you. But that's super important. And I think that lack of the shorter days also contributes to the body beginning to do what it needs to do to clean house. Somehow that less sunlight can kind of trigger that. So that's pretty much what I had. And again, I would say comment if you would like a list of the wonderful healthy treats that I have been collecting. Comment treats down below, and I would love to share that with you. So I'm talking about all these different kinds of choices we can make, and I always want to say we're going to do our best and then trust God with the rest, okay? Don't want to make trying to be perfect be something that adds stress into our lives. So I hope you're having a wonderful holiday season. If you have some healthy treat recipes to share, feel free to shoot me a note. I would love to add that to my list because I'm always looking. And have a wonderful rest of the day. And I look forward to hearing from you down in the comments.